Jai Prabhuji. Hello everybody and welcome to our course of the book of Prabhuji, Kundalini Yoga, The Power is in You. This is the book and this is the foundation for everything that we're sharing in regards to this ancient path of the Kundalini. Today we are going to finalize with our series of classes about the first center, which is the Muladhara chakra or root chakra. We had our previous class where we got more familiar with this center. We developed it a lot. We learned different things and different qualities, attributes in regards to this center, including, for example, the Tanmatra or the subtle element of this center, which is the Gandha or smell. We spoke how it's deeply connected to our limbic system. And when we share about this system, we understood why some authors are calling it the emotional brain. We saw how this sense of the smell and this limbic system is so deeply related to our emotional response. And what was very interesting for me from all the information that we shared in our previous class was that we spoke how this first center is associated with different parts of our body. As I just mentioned, the limbic system, we spoke about the adrenal glands, the feet, the leg, and we saw then when we share about the different physical issues that are related to this center, we saw how it's going to be expressed in these different parts of our body. We learn things that every center is related to an animal. The one of the first center is Airavata, which is a white elephant and the vehicle of Indra. And this is going to suggest the type of vital air that is going to be in this area of our body, which is going to be slow and heavy, like the elephant. The name of this prana or vital air is Apana. We saw the plane of this element, which is Burloka, the terrenal plane. We saw the color, which is red, the color of the tattwa, which is yellow. We also saw it in our first class when we shared in regards very detailed information in regards to the yantra. We learn about the smell, the aroma that is associated with this center, which is the sandalwood, different essential oils. We shared about the crystals, different stones. So we are very familiar. At this point, we are very familiar with this center. And at the end of this class, which was kind of the main topic of that class, was what are the different physical and psychological issues that are related to that first center. And this is how I want us to start today. I want us to briefly see again these specific issues related to the first center, because then what we're going to do is that we're going to share how does it looks when the center is actually balanced. This is the plan for the class of today. We're going to share also different techniques in order for us to fortify and to open this chakra, and we're going to finalize sharing words that Prabhuji has in a video that is related to the Kundalini Yoga. He's sharing about this path, and the name of the video is Develop Roots in Silence. So I feel it's very connected to this first center, which is related to roots. Remember that we spoke about this term of grounding. Okay, so we go very briefly back to our previous class where we spoke that the center, this first center, all the centers can have two extremes. When it's not balanced, the center is going to be working in a deficit, which means that it's blocked and sometimes even closed, completely closed. And we're going to have a center that is working in excess, so it's overloaded. We have these two situations, and we're going to have physical and psychological issues related to both. So I want us to briefly see it. In a few minutes, I'm going to show a table where we are comparing these two centers, so we are even more familiar with it, and then we can go ahead and speak how does it looks when this center is balanced. So we're going to start with a block center in the same order that we did in our previous class. When this center is blocked, we saw that the physical issues are going to be related to the parts of the body that this center is associated. We're speaking about our base, our support. So then the feet, the legs, the joints like the knees, the hips, these are going to be parts of the body that are going to hurt when we have a closed or a blocked center. We're going to suffer from insomnia. Remember that we spoke about these glands that are regulating these different hormones that are going to be related to our sleep. So we can suffer from insomnia. We can suffer from different disorders in our physical body related to food. So some of these are going to be anorexia, for example, or we're going to be dieting a lot. We're going to have different disorders that are going to be more related to the fact that we want to disassociate from our body. So another one can be fatigue. We're going to be getting sick a lot. These are the physical issues. And then when we go to the other extreme, this is what I want us to do, to compare it and see them one side by side. When we go to the other extreme with it, which is an overloaded center, then we see if in the blocked one we have anorexia, then in the overloaded one we're going to have obesity. We're going to have we want to eat a lot, and I don't know if you remember that it's going to be because we want to affirm our space, because we're lacking this security and this sense of safe and confidence. Then we do it by eating a lot. Disorders, physical disorders that are associated then with the overloaded chakra are going to be, if we have in the blocked one anorexia, then we're going to have in the overloaded obesity. Remember that if it's overloaded, it's too much energy, then we want to overeat. So one of the physical symptoms is the obesity, but not only the obesity, but it's going to be sometimes it can be in a correct weight, but they are going to be over-focused, hyper-focused in their physical appearance. Another physical issues related to an overloaded chakra are going to be the addictions. Remember that we say, okay, it's not going to be only the first center, but the first center is going to be in the equation of these different addictions. We're going to have also fatigue. We're going to have problems like sleeping a lot, and we're going to have this heaviness, like if we're obese and we are overeating and it's associated with this hyper focus in our physical body, then our movements are not going to be gracefully, but there's going to be heaviness in our feet and in our movements overall. Let's go then to the psychological issues that are related to this center when it's blocked. The psychological issues are poor boundaries. A person that has the blocked or a chakra that is closed is going to be a person that is going to suffer from anxiety, from fear. It's going to suffer from insecurity. The person, as I said, it's going to have poor boundaries. It's very difficult for a person that wants to detach from the world, detach from their body, to set boundaries. And also they're going to have poor financial stability. Remember that we spoke that it's difficult for them to make payments and to be responsible. Like we spoke about things like poor hygiene also, the relationship with their relative, with the people that are surrounding them, is also going to be poor. And then when we see the psychological issues, when it's overloaded, then we're going to see that if in the blocked one is poor boundaries, in this one are going to be very rigid boundaries. It's a person that likes to follow rules, that likes to follow routines. There is a lack of flexibility and a lack of spontaneity and vulnerability. So for this person, it's going to be very difficult to actually build relationships, because the person is always closed, is very afraid to be spontaneous and to open themselves. So it's going to be difficult to actually build relationships. Another psychological issues are going to be this hoarding and this materialism, this attachment to different material things. If you remember when we spoke in our previous class, this person wants to feel big and to feel this lack of security, this lack of confidence with something external. So something that is going to identify this type of person is going to be this workaholism or an addiction, this hoarding. I want to accumulate things in order to have this, to fulfill this lack of security, this lack of protection that I have. So these are the two different directions, the two extremes in regards to a center when it's actually even either blocked or overloaded. And while I'm speaking, I'm presenting this table that I mentioned so we can actually digest it the best possible. If this is the way that it looks when a center is unbalanced, how is a person that enjoys from an open center? How this shows in the person, in our behavior? How a person with an open center and a healthy first center, a healthy Muladhara chakra looks like. This person, first we can start, if we remember the term that we focused in our previous class, which is grounded. A person that is grounded is realistic. It's a person that has a very deep connection to the nature, to its support. It's a person with confidence. It has this confidence that it's a person that says, I have the power. Remember the subtitle of this book, The Power is in You. So the person actually feels like this. It feels protected by the earth, by the things that are surrounding to them. They have a sense of belonging to this world in a way that it's protecting us. Like, I belong to this universe and I know it's part of me, so I have the strength, I have the will to go through life. Like, it's not like the blocked one or the one in excess that you don't even feel secure. Like, something maybe happened in your childhood that you don't feel that you actually have what is needed. You don't feel protected. This person is the opposite. This person actually feels protected by its surrounding, by the universe itself. Then this person also have a good communication with their relative, with the people that is around them, and at the same time they are going to be able to reflect and to act accordingly in the different situations that life is bringing to them, because they have this confidence. They are not reacting. They are not trying to escape from different situations. Remember that we spoke how this earth element, in the negative way that it can influence us, is that we want to escape from different situations in life. When this person has the center open, the person is going to sit, it's going to analyze things, it's going to discriminate and to actually respond, to answer in a proper way to the different situations that life it's proposing. Also, we need to remember that the center is related to our survival mechanism. We want to survive, we want to feel protected, we want to have the basic needs met in order for us to survive, in order for us to live. So the person is going to have these abilities, this willpower, this strength in order to go day by day, and this also fighting spirit that we actually need in order to live. The person is going to have all these tools, and it's going to have the strength to go and live day by day with this trust and this confidence. So now that we spoke how it looks when this center is open, I would like us to go and speak in regards to different techniques. And for me, this is a very interesting topic because we're going to have to find in the book very specific techniques that are in order to, specifically in order to open the chakra, in order to purify ourselves, in order to awaken the Kundalini. In the section of the different chakras, we are not sharing practices. This is from the section of the sadhana, the practice of the Kundalini yoga. But we do find different asanas that are related to this first center. So what I want us to do before sharing these techniques is to share the attitude of Prabhuji in regards to the sadhana. Very briefly, because I want to save a whole class where we can actually deepen and explore even more what is the attitude of Prabhuji with the sadhana, with the practice. What is the place of the sadhana in the retroprogressive path? So today I'm only sharing one paragraph that you can find it in the beginning of the third section of the book, which is the section of the sadhana of the Kundalini. I'm going to share that, and after that I also want to share in regards to the view, in regards to the attitude of meditation for Prabhuji. And after I read the paragraph of the sadhana, we're going to understand more why I am connecting it and why I am bringing it in this occasion. Before explaining the practices of this path, I would like to mention that although the techniques are important, they are only part of the basic levels. Practices are beneficial at the beginning of spiritual life, but they are not an end in themselves. They are essential in the beginning, but they can become a serious obstacle if we do not let them go at the right time. Although there are many techniques to visualize chakras, observe breathing, or repeat mantras, we must remember that religion's aim is to realize our divine nature, not to turn us into skillful visualizers of chakras, observers of breathing, or repeaters of mantras. So we see how clearly and precise Prabhuji is sharing in this paragraph at the beginning of this section. He is sharing with us how practices are beneficial only at the beginning of our spiritual life. And I like very much the phrase when he says they are not the end on themselves. Like they are a tool in order for us to achieve something, but they are not the actual end of it. It's not that when we are practicing different things in religions, we want to become professionals in the practice itself, but we use it as a tool, and the real aim of religion is to realize our divine nature. So this is something that throughout the book you're going to hear it again and again in order for us to always have it in mind, to have the right attitude when we are actually doing or performing any type of practices. And I think it's a very good time to, before we share the techniques, to remind our viewers that we are sharing different techniques, but everything that we share needs to be under the expert guidance of an enlightened being, of a realized master. We need to remember that this is a very sophisticated system, and the things that we're sharing cannot substitute, for example, the medical advice, professional advice. They are not, they cannot be substituted. And the things that we're sharing, if someone is interested in this path, needs to be under the guidance of a spiritual master, because we share different psychological issues, physical issues that are related to this first center being closed or overloaded, but we are not giving this information in order for someone to practice it according to how they feel. But we always remind that the things, the details that we're sharing about this ancient technique, first is according to the experience of Prabhuji and also of his master, his beloved master. And when we are sharing this information, whoever wants to practice this needs to be under the guidance of a spiritual master or an enlightened being. So we see the attitude in regards to the sadhana. As I said, we have another class where we're going to reserve to very explore and deepening and to delve into this attitude of the retroprogressive yoga. And now I want us to read also a paragraph where Prabhuji is sharing in regards to meditation. Prabhuji has, in all of his books, this is a term, a topic that is central in the retroprogressive path. And I am just taking a very specific paragraph of the book Ishavasya Upanishad, where he shares how meditation is not for something. Why I want to bring this topic now? We are going to find in many different books, even in YouTube, different videos, meditation for something. In many books, while I was trying to research and enrich the information that we're sharing from the book of Prabhuji, in many books that they can be in the category, they can enter in the category of the New Age, you will find a lot of time meditation for something. Like if meditation can be used to accomplish something, like this is a cause, and because of the meditation there is going to be certain result, or as if meditation is a technique, a practice, and then you can have certain result from it. And we're going to see that the approach of meditation in the retroprogressive yoga is completely different. We're going to see that meditation is not for something. You will never find in the book or in any of the books of Prabhuji or in any of his conferences or videos using the term meditation as a technique. In the opposite, he's explaining very clearly how it's not a technique. So before continuing speaking about it, I would like us to read this small paragraph about meditation. The only way to awaken and transcend the mental plane is attentive observation. Meditation is another name for observation. Many people talk about meditation as a science, technique, or method. However, meditation is an art, game, or occupation that we do without expecting a reward. It is an activity that we perform motivated by the pleasure of the work itself, without expecting any result from our action. I am thinking of activities like dancing, singing, writing, painting, and playing sports like golf or tennis. Meditation is the only cognitive activity that is totally independent of the mind. It is not another mental activity such as reflecting, thinking, imagining, or speculating. To meditate is to observe and know our activities in any field. Observation begins with the desidentification of the mind and adopting the position of a witness. Only observation allows us to create a distance and therefore a desidentification from what is observed. If someone is interested in this specific paragraph, you can find it in the book of Prabhuji, Ishavasya Upanishad, the commentaries that he made to this book. And I want us to keep sharing a little bit about this specific paragraph. I don't know if you remember when I spoke about the sadhana, he said they are not an end in themselves. And in this paragraph where he's speaking about meditation, he's saying we do the meditation for the pleasure of itself. Like the meditation, it's the end itself. So we see how different it's the approach of Prabhuji, of the approach of meditation in the retroprogressive path. How it's not a technique, it's not a science, it's not a method, but it's an end in itself. It's something that we do, and I like very much how he's using the word art. It's an art, and it's something that we do for the pleasure of the activity itself. It's not like we're trying to get certain result from it. Okay, if I meditate, I will gain this. No. I meditate for meditate. I dance for dancing. I paint for painting itself. I write or I sing for the singing itself, and not because I want to receive certain result from it. And then he starts to speak in regards to the observation and how when we can become a witness that this is the only activity that is not cognitive, it's not something mental. Like when we sit to analyze or to reflect about something. But I want us to stay in our topic that this is the fact, this is why we're going to find very specific techniques in the book related to this path of the Kundalini Yoga. As I mentioned, in many others you will find meditations for an immense amount of things, and in this specific case you will never find the word meditation for something. You can find practices for something, you can find visualizations of the chakras, breathing techniques, the asanas, but you will never find something like a meditation for something in the retroprogressive path. So now having this background and remembering this approach, we can share about the different techniques. And I would like us to start with the different asanas. So the postures that are recommended for this first center, the Muladhara chakra, are the triangle pose, which is Trikonasana. And we also have the forward fold posture, which is the Padahastasana. In general, when you research in different books, the asanas that are going to be recommended are those where we're focusing in our base, where we have our feet on the ground, and we're focusing in this base, like the legs, the feet, the leg, the hips, the knees. So these are different postures that are recommended in the book in order for us to connect, to open and fortify this center. Then in the section of the practice of the sadhana, we're going to find different exercises in order to open the chakras. And to open the chakra, the first center, the Muladhara chakra, we are going to have different breathing exercises. So the exercises says that you're going to inhale and to exhale deeply, and you're going to focus in this first center, in this area of the perineum between the genitals and the anus. This is where the first center is located. So to focus the attention in the location of the center, And when you're breathing in and out, to feel how the air is entering and going out from this specific location. At the same time, you're going to be repeating mentally, reciting mentally the Bija mantra of the center, which is Lam. This is the practice that is recommended in the book in order to open this chakra. But we need to remember that before opening the chakras, there are different stages. For example, the one about harmonizing the Eden Pingala Nadi. I don't know if you saw our previous classes, but this is the first stage, because without it, the Shushumna cannot open. And if the Shushumna is not open, then once the Kundalini awakens, it cannot actually rise and perforate all the chakras. So before that, we have different purification techniques. Remember that we spoke about the japa, which is repeating certain mantra. We also spoke in the awakening of the Kundalini how only the concentration in the first center is going to be one of the first practices, because this is the location of the Kundalini. We spoke how the association with an enlightened being, it's one of the easiest way to awaken the Kundalini also. And something that I wanted to mention is in regards to the purifications. This is the first things that we're going to see in this section of the sadhana. And it makes total sense because we are so full. We have so many ideas, preconceived ideas. There is so much noise in us, not only by talking, but mental noise. So it makes sense that the first thing that we want to accomplish with the different practices that are shared, that are suggested in this path in the book, are related to purifying. We want to clean ourselves, and we want to actually make the space that is needed in order for us to accept this to give this invitation to the divine. We want to make ourselves an instrument, as we many times mention, a receptacle of the truth. And in order for that, we need to make some space. And this is why the purifications are going to be one of the first practices. So we share the different asanas, we share in order to open the center, and we just spoke about the purifications. So this is why before sharing about it, we spoke about this attitude about the sadhana in this path, and also about the meditation itself, why you are not going to find in the book a meditation for something. Now that we share about these different techniques, I would like us to finalize. We're at the end of the class. What I want us to do is that I'm going to be sharing a video of Prabhuji. The name of the video is Develop Roots in Silence. And he's sharing about the path of the Kundalini Yoga. I would like just to offer a brief introduction, because something that characterizes Prabhuji, and I think I mentioned it a few times during our classes, is the fact that he's very precise with the words that he's using. And this is why many times, instead of just sharing what I think about something that he says, I'm actually reading what he's saying. And in this case, we're going to show the video itself so the person can have its own taste of what Prabhuji is sharing. But he's speaking about this path of the Kundalini, and he's saying how the difference in regards to the terms of growing, maturing, and also getting older. And he speaks like when we are getting older, we expand our extremities. We are living kind of in a horizontally. And when we actually begin this path of the Kundalini, we start to live vertically, deepening our roots in existence, in life, in silence, as the name of the lecture, and also growing towards the sky. And he's saying, as I mentioned, when we get older, when we grow, we are expanding our extremities. And here I want to compare with something that we were sharing in regards to this specific center, which is this hoarding, this accumulation, this addiction to different things. When we have this lacking and we don't feel secure, we don't have this firm base, this firm foundation, then we do this. We grow in the mind, we grow and we are expanding only in our extremities, but we are not actually deepening ourselves, and we are not rooted, we are not grounded in life. And he's sharing the difference when this happens with the Kundalini. Also, something that I like very much is when he's using this allegory to the tree. For whoever saw our introductory class, we saw how in the book also, he always remembered this, like he has this memory of a conversation with his father about a tree. Like, how can you transplant a tree when it's younger, but when it's old, it's very difficult. And he's speaking about these very big trees that they actually need the roots to be as big as the trunk and the leaves, and sometimes they're even bigger in order for the roots to be able to support the whole weight of the tree. But if the roots are very thin, they are weak, then in the first breeze, in the first wind, then this tree is going to fall. So he's also using this allegory to refer to ourselves as human beings, and where are we developing our roots, or if we're actually developing them. So without saying anything else, I want to leave you with the video. In our next class, we're going to begin our series of classes about the second center, the Swadhisthana chakra. So now I leave you with the words of Prabhuji. Thank you very much for joining us today. Jai Prabhuji.
The world that we see, the reality that we experience daily, is the reality of names and forms. It's so superficial. Es la superficie.
Is the superficial.
Because the superficial is the mind, names, thoughts, thinking, ideas, the reality of the senses, the external. The problem is that when we live in the mind, as a mind, in the external world, we don't grow, no crecemos.
We don't grow.
Tan solo envejecemos.
We only become older.
To become older and to grow are two totally different things. You become old as much as you become more mind. You become old because you become more mind. With the years, more mind and more old. But you don't grow. When you live in the external, in the superficie, you don't grow. Religion, spiritual life, is to grow. When you grow, you stop to live horizontal, and you begin to live vertical. Every moment you live deep inside, like we told yesterday, with significance. And in some way that is what Kundalini talk about, is to develop your source, to enter deep into life, to grow como raíces.
Like roots.
Your roots deep inside life. Deep inside life. Then life becomes significative. When you become old, you become like a big tree, every year bigger and bigger, but not roots. What will happen is, for example, one of the trees have small roots. Any wind will make him fall so easy. And happens to us in life that sometimes we grow, we are so strong, we feel so wonderful in our paths and alcohol and people and fun and money, and a small wind, we fall. No roots. Our roots in life, dentro de la vida,
Within life.
desarrollarlas
We have to develop them.
is only in the silence of meditation. In the same way you have a language to talk outside, like now, words, sentences, in the same way you have a way to communicate one with the other. You need to begin to develop the language of the inside, your internal language. Will take time that you will begin to communicate through silence. Only then you will begin to hear one day this happening of the silence, but the silence like a melody of your soul. The silence like the melody of your soul. And this is Kundalini, to develop your roots and growth and growth. It's not that you go chakra by chakra, it's you really grow and flourish, eternal flourish, and then you become really alive. And meditation will be happening, a revelation, not something that you do. Don't try to think about it, only watch. Watch. Don't be busy with your thoughts. Your mind is like a dirty room that you never open to clean. And when you begin to your spiritual life, you try to do things, but as much as you move, one thought levanta mucho polvo.
It brings up a lot of dust.
And if you want peace, don't move. Only watch. Every thought, more dust. You do a movement, more dust. It's so sit and watch. As much as time over, you will see that the dust begin to, and in some moment, you will be able to see. So only watch. Only watch. And then meditation will happen, will reveal itself to you. In this watchfulness and waiting, you develop in silence. Silence is like the water to develop your roots. Watchfulness, as much as you watch, is like a thermometer. As much as you watch, you are more awareness, you go up, up, up. In the mind, you don't grow. The maximum is you become old. Envejecer no es crecer.
Becoming old is not growing.
This retreat have something to do with that. Is to become mature. Religious life, religion, nothing to do with lights and truths, and put that aside. These are big, big words. This I say many times to my disciples, and I say now to the visitors too. Many people talk with you about God and truth and transcendental and big, big things. Religion is something more simple. Maturity. Mature. Because it's a world where we become old with our rockets and atom bombs and all this. But we have no roots. Humanity have no roots, no maturity, nothing inside. Externally very advanced, but internally like small children with atomic bombs. Children can destroy all the house. So, don't look for big things. Look for maturity, and real maturity, growth in the silence of your internal world. Live a life. Vive una vida.
Living life
con profundidad.
in depth.
Una persona que vive una vida superficial
A person that lives a superficial life,
se torna extremista con los años.
it becomes more extremist with the years.
Una vida superficial tú puedes ser extremista.
In a superficial life, you can be extremist.
¿Qué significa? Porque cuando creces,
Because when you become older,
cuando creces
when you grow,
y eres superficial,
and it's superficial,
si no entras en la vida,
if you don't go into life,
solo expandes tus extremos,
you only expand your extremes, your limits.
te pones extremista.
You become extremist.
¿Se dan cuenta?
Did you notice that?
Una vida superficial te lleva solo a expandirte, pero nunca a crecer.
A superficial life only takes you to expand your extremes, but never to go profoundly.
Una vida en la cual desarrollas tus raíces
A life where you develop your roots
es una vida que te ayuda a crecer.
is a life that takes you to grow.
Y el gran mensaje del Kundalini Yoga
That's a great message of the Kundalini Yoga.
es deja de crecer o expandirte,
Is stop growing or expanding,
tórnate vertical
is turn vertical
y empieza a crecer.
and start growing.
Las raíces en tu alma,
The roots in your soul,
en la vida.
in life,
Desarrolla raíces en la existencia
develop roots in existence
y verás cómo creces.
and see how you grow.
Y así es como te vuelves un monje.
That's how you become a monk.
Así es como, por ejemplo, tomas celibato.
That's how you take celibacy.
Hay gente que dice, ¿cómo se puede ser célibe?
There's people who say, how you can be celibate?
Viviendo en la superficie,
Living in the superficial,
tu atención está en el amado,
your attention is in the beloved,
en la amada.
in the beloved.
Cuando vives en lo profundo,
When you live in profoundly in the depth,
Tu atención está en el amor.
Your attention is in love.